Warning! The following review will include scenes from a game that may be blah blah blah, disclaimer warning. Parental discretion advised, but most likely ignored. Oh, my head. Where am I? Uh-oh. Let me get this out of the way right now. I love the Silent Hill series. Mostly because it's one of the few games that can call itself survival horror with a straight face. Instead of trying to scare you with ooga booga tricks like Resident Evil, the games focus mostly on emphasizing psychological horror, the growing fear of isolation, and the unknown. Also, unlike Resident Evil, survival was mostly based on running for your life, instead of running for another box of ammunition. So I'm assuming you're wondering why I choose to introduce you to the series with 4 instead of the first game or the universally acclaimed second game. Mostly because the 4th game stands out unique among the others. Now normally the people you play as in Silent Hill games have some secret or connection to the town. But this is the first and so far only game in the main series where you just seem to be a guy in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Oh, man.
Henry Townsend doesn't seem to have any dark secret in his past. In fact, the only thing we know about him by the time the game is over is that he was a severe introvert. However, after starting to have nightmares of his apartment being haunted, he discovers a malevolent force is keeping him trapped inside his room. Now this is where the player comes in. Billy?
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
This is my room. What's going on?
Wait a second, can I get out that way? Come on. No. Got it. Crap.
What's going on?
I'm doing a Silent Hill 4 review, so I guess the gods of YouTube want to make this a theme review.
So we're trapped in Silent Hill?
Worse. We're trapped in a student film version of Silent Hill. Anyway, as you get acquainted to your room, you find mysterious notes behind a bookshelf. These notes will help build the backstory of the game as you find a hole that gets deframed in your bathroom wall. This lets you explore areas linked to the events surrounding you.
You mean defenestrated, and I don't think that word applies here.
I know what I said, Billy. Now the big difference over the other Silent Hill games isn't just that your apartment is treated as a safe haven, as well as the only access to a save point in other levels. The game also introduces ghosts. These are unkillable enemies that hurt you just by being close to you, and will not only chase you around the level, but appear in other levels as well. The only way to stop them is to beat them up enough that you can pin them with the Sword of Obedience. And there are only 5 of these items in the game, so you'll have to pick and choose which ghost to use them on. Combat in the game is painful or easy, depending on circumstances. If you only have one enemy bothering you, then you should only have a little trouble. Most weapons, when they hit, will make the enemy flinch. But if groups are involved, you'll have to position yourself so you don't get surrounded. Even then, these jerks can still get some lucky shots in while you're targeting something you'd rather not be. Twin victims, the double-headed thing here, are the only ones I had the most trouble with since their reach is long enough they can hit you through the body of another enemy. You can fight using a number of weapons, and if you have the time to build up a charge attack on your enemy, by all means do it. During the attack animation of a charge attack, you cannot be harmed. And you dish out heavy damage as well. Early on in the game, when you go peeping on your neighbor, you can actually find a pistol. But it doesn't damage as much as melee attacks, and the ammo is limited. I recommend only using it on things you really need to stay away from. Like these stupid wall things on the escalator. When you get to the building world, you find a taser that makes fighting the monkey things easy since it knocks them down in one hit. But by the time you're done here, you'll find a rusty axe, which is pretty much the best weapon in the game.
Why is that?
Because it swings fast and hits hard. And because most of the enemies can be stunned with it, you can just keep wailing on them until they die.
New Game Informer.
What was that?
Oh, the mail came.
And the door opened?
Yeah. Gosh.
As I was saying, the axe is the second strongest melee weapon in the game, but is about as fast as the pipe's regular attacks. The charge attack also is guaranteed to nearly knock them on their back in one shot.
So if I had to guess, it sounds like you don't get the axe until later in the game.
Actually, you get it a little bit before the halfway point. You first visit the subway world, where you find the singer from that one DDR song thinking this is all a dream. Sadly, like most of the other characters you'll meet in the game, she gets attacked by a serial killer you discover a little bit later to be named Walter Sullivan. Now this scene plays out very well, outside of Henry's voice actor being asleep at the wheel for a moment.
Are you okay?
I'll give props to the developers for doing a very good job with the cutscenes in the game, and the voice actors do a great job bringing it home. Your next level is the Forest World, where you find the orphanage Walter Sullivan was raised in with another victim, Jasper Gine. Like I said, don't bother making friends for a while in this game. Your next destination is a prison world. You also meet Andrew DeSalvo, who apparently isn't a saint if you find certain notes in the game. Finally, you get to the building world, where one of your neighbors named Richard Braintree winds up also. Unfortunately for Dick here, he wasn't nice to Walter when he was younger, so you can guess what happens with him. After that, the next time you leave your apartment, you wake up outside the door. So mission accomplished, I guess. Too bad it's not the normal world. Turns out another neighbor, Eileen Galvin, is next on Walter's hit list because she was nice to him when she was younger.
Wait. Hold on a second. I missed something. Why is he doing all this?
Well, without spoiling anything, it's because he's a serial killer.
That's justification?
If you don't want to hear the big story bits that I'm about to spoil right now, then watch the subtitle down there and mute it until it goes away. Ready? Walter Sullivan was abandoned in the room you live in as a newborn, and was adopted by members of the Silent Hill cult, or at least a certain sect of it. While he was raised there, he was told about the ritual of the 21 Sacraments, and with it, he can return to his mother and live in a paradise of his own creation. All the worlds you've been visiting are parts of this paradise he's created for himself. And in order for his plan to reach fruition, he needs 21 specific sacrifices. This includes himself as the 11th sacrifice, so all the murders you've witnessed are being done by a ghost. If you play this game yourself, I've left quite a bit out of that basic summary, because a lot of other things you discover and how you discover them certainly help the game's atmosphere and tension. Definitely something to be experienced rather than discussed. However, unless you can do something about it, sacrifice number 20 is going to be the cute neighbor you've been spying on with that hole you discovered near the pistol.
Let me guess, it doesn't work out.
Oh no. She gets beat up and you go to the Otherworld Hospital to rescue her. Now this hallway is random about what door has what, and you can't hurt those wheelchairs, so just dodge them as best you can. After you're done being creeped out by the rooms and you find the key to the one that unlocks Eileen's room, you go back to her and... wrong Eileen. Anyway, you convince her to come with you to a great hole in the wall you know about, but turns out she can't see them. So now, you have to go through all the previous levels while bringing her along so that you can find a way to both escape.
What?
You heard me.
You mean tell me the second half of this game is just going back through all the places you already went?
While escorting a mostly defenseless girl and being chased by the ghosts of previous victims, yes.
Oh no, I am not big on escort quests.
No, you can't get it. Oh crap, it's open. Wait for me!
Did we just come out of a closet together?
This haunting sucks. Now the escorting setup isn't exactly bad. In some cases you can split up with her, either by design or by glitches. You can equip her with a weapon to help fight bad guys, and in most situations the AI will target you more than her, as long as you're close enough to them swinging away. She can be hurt by monsters and other enemies, but she can't die. Now I know I've given a lot of talk about how to fight things so far, but Silent Hill 4 is actually one of the games that seems to emphasize running the most. Odd when you think that they deliberately designed it to have more action and combat, but those invincible ghosts, and especially Walter, make you want to book it as fast as you can. He has a pipe, he has a chainsaw, he has a gun, and then he really stops being nice and uses 2 guns. When you first meet him, he even gives you a doll that will make your item chest one of the most dangerous things in the game.
Alright, that does sound like a good villain, in the sense that he's actually a threat and not just another thing to be shot. But what happens with the chest?
Well, ever since the surgery, I've had to...
No. The item chest.
Oh. Well, when you rescue Eileen, you hear a crash in your apartment and realize the air is heavy and you don't heal there anymore. This is the start of the hauntings. As you look around the room, you'll see some creepy stuff, or even hear some. When you get close to them, you'll start taking damage unless you're wearing an item called the Saint's Medallion, which is limited in how long it lasts. The Saint's Medallion also protects you from the damaging aura the ghosts in the other worlds have as well, so you want to keep a good supply of them. Hauntings are best dealt with using the holy candles. However, you need to fish around for a spot to put them down and not just use it on the haunting directly. The radio will make noise when you turn it on if there's any left, but your apartment never will start healing you again. However, the shabby doll item Walter offers you is one of the worst. You can choose not to pick it up, but if you do, it'll just take up space in your personal inventory, which is limited only to 10 spaces. You put all your extra items in your chest back home, but the shabby doll will eventually trigger probably the creepiest and most disturbing haunting. Plus, it's one of the few hauntings that can reappear after you exorcise it. Eileen and the hauntings both have direct consequences by the time the final boss comes by. Generally speaking, there's only one real boss fight in the game. However, for being the only real boss fight, the final showdown with Walter is very big on inventory use. You have to use an item on that big thing to activate a number of spears, and then use those spears on the giant thing before you can actually kill Walter. While this is happening, Eileen is marching toward a death machine and will go very fast if she took too much damage. This fight can be very frantic with the unspoken time limit and with Walter chasing you around until you can actually damage him. So much so that I accidentally used my only healing item the first fight while trying to jab the spears, and I died for that mistake. Eileen surviving is one of 2 things needed to get the best ending. The other is to get rid of 80% of the hauntings in your apartment. The endings are pretty much from best to worst. Henry and Eileen live happily ever after and leave the area. Only Henry lives. Henry's apartment is still haunted and will probably kill him eventually. And Walter wins, and you get to see what happens when he actually completes the 21 Sacraments. In the end, I'd say this is one of the strongest games in the Silent Hill series. In my personal top 3. Having to juggle inventory is a little annoying, but there's enough stuff that happens with the room itself between hauntings and spying on your neighbors to lessen that issue. The hauntings themselves are a nice touch, adding an element of danger to what used to be a safe haven where you could save your progress without any hassle. Also, since a lot of cutscenes aren't pre-rendered, it's worth noting the character models used stand out very well even when compared to modern games. The biggest problem I have with the game, outside of waiting for Eileen to catch up while I give her a tour of the previous levels, is something that sticks with nearly all the games up to this one. The combat sucks. The dodge mechanic is a nice thought, but a lot of times it feels, well, dodgy. Ow! However, the pacing is great. There's plenty of things to give a chill down your spine. And outside of combat and very troubling camera placement, there aren't very many control issues. I recommend the game if you feel like being scared and creeped out, but if scary stuff isn't your thing, then you might as well go ahead and pass it. As much as I like everybody to play it, the gameplay on its own isn't something that can keep you interested. And in a nutshell, that's Silent Hill 4. A game that I highly recommend. Well, Billy, there's another game for us. Billy! Where'd you go? Alright, Ghost. It's time for you to get out of here. I got me one of them swords of obedience.
This is the big plastic sword.
Go!
What the man?
Go! Out! And put money in the sword jar!
There's nothing you can do. So sleep in your only memory of me, my dearest mother. Here's a lullaby to close your eyes at goodnight. It was always you that I despised.
20, 40, 60, 80. Thanks for coming by.
No, thank you for choosing Retoghost for all your haunting needs.
I'll see you next year.
Oh, yes, you will.
I